Hi everybody, sorry, one more for Module 4. I know I said I would see you in class, but this is just going to be a real quickie. Before we get to the group frequency distributions in class, I wanted to go over, just very briefly, we'll go over them again in class, but just very briefly, relative frequency and proportion. So here's that simple frequency distribution that I had done for you before with the scores here and the frequencies here, the X column and the F column. What I've done here is I've shown you how to calculate a proportion, which is just basically the number of scores out of each, the total n of scores. So there are 20 scores, as I talked about before, and since there are two tens, there are 2 out of the total of 20 scores, or 0.1 scores, that are 10. And there are 4 out of the 20 scores that are 9s, so 0.2. So this gives you the relative frequency, or the proportion. And then when you want to look at that, perhaps you don't like decimals, I'm not a big fan. If you want to look at the percentage, you simply take that and multiply it by 100, or move that decimal place 2 places over to the right, and it gives you the percentage. So you can very easily see, well, what is the largest percent of scores that are represented within this distribution. Now, you can easily see that by looking at the frequency. Well, it's going to be 9. There are 4 of them compared to all the other ones. But here, you can see 10%, 20%, and then all 4 of these are 15%, of course 0%, and then 2 at 5%. So all I did there was to take that relative frequency, the number of scores divided by the total number of scores, and get my answer here, my proportion, and then to get the percent, you just multiply by 100, move that decimal place over 2 places, 10%, 20%, 15, 15, 15, 15, and when you add these all up, they should add to 100%. There's another column that you could do called a cumulative frequency distribution, or a cumulative frequency table, and you would simply take the 10 and the 20, and that would then become 30, and then you'd add 15, and that would be 45, etc. All the way on down. And to double check your work, just like to double check your work with the n and the frequencies, you might want to go ahead and make that cumulative frequency column that will show you the total percentage that you have, and it should equal 100%. Okay, that's all I wanted to tell you. So when we do our group frequency distributions, you're going to have the same thing. You're going to have a proportion and a percent that fall within an interval or a group, like A to B and C to D, etc. All those different ones. You're still going to have proportions of percents that fall within each of those groups. Now remember, this is quiz scores, the example I gave you, so it's probably going to be a ratio level variable, because you could get a 0 on a quiz, unfortunately. Hopefully none of you will. But if this were names, say this were just the number of people in the class who had different names, you had 100 students, some of them would probably be named Mary, some of them would probably be named Ben, and you could count the numbers and then get the proportion and get the percent of people who had different names in the class. Or you could look at males and females. You would only have basically males and females at that point, but you could still use nominal data to make a table like this. Anyway, that's all I wanted to tell you, and I really will see you in class next time. Bye.